Hi, I'm Phil Moulton. Welcome to Snowmobiler Television. On today's show, we travel to Duluth, Minnesota to catch some ice sock action. Our test riders, well, they're going to catch some air of their own on some ditch-banging sleds, and one lucky person is getting a whole bunch of new stuff put on their sled, courtesy of our friends at Kimpex. Let's ride.
STV is sponsored by Yamaha, revs your heart. Kimpex, fueled by fun. And by Skidoo, never stop pushing.
The seasonal opener in Duluth for Snocross in North America is the true kickoff for the snowmobile season. The event is always huge, with multi-camera live streaming, huge video monitors, full night lighting, and of course, all the biggest teams in racing. An event like this is a must-attend for anyone who loves snowcross. ISOC puts on an incredible multi-day snowcross event, and it's great to see familiar faces from the Canadian Snowcross Racing Association out on the track.
It's a good way for us to start the season off. We've been doing this a long time. Been coming down here every year. We spent a couple weeks up north in Aurora. Actually, this year was pretty short. We only got 5 days for the preseason. But it's always nice to come here. Everyone's really anxious when we get to Duluth, so it sets the tone for the year, I guess you could say, before we start our attack on the CSRA series. Everyone down here rides at such a high level in the pro class that it really kind of starts you out with a little bit faster pace, I guess you could say. So it's nice to do that, and it's always nice to represent Canada down here. This year's probably a little bit bigger than it has been in the past few years. It seemed like it was almost on a downswing before, and now it looks like we're on the up a little bit. We had 27 guys signed up last night, which is a first. I haven't raced against that many pros since probably 2003, 2004. So it was really good to see. Lots of trailers, lots of amateurs. It's nice to see the sport still flourishing. And it's not a cheap sport to get into, but it's a lot of fun once you're into it. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure. It's two different types of racing. At home, it's a little bit higher speed, maybe not so much snow, not such deep holes, but it's a skill set that is required for both sides of the border. And I think if you can be competitive on both sides of the border, it makes you a more well-rounded rider. It's a challenge we always have. We start here, and that's fine. You learn the pace, you get going. But then when we get away from it and try to pick it up mid-season or late in the year, it's a little bit difficult to jump back into the pace of the ISOC guys. As they ride right that edge the whole time, and there's a battle whether it's for first or 10th. There's no really room for breathing, where that's not quite the case in the CSRA. Although this year I looked at the lineup, it looks like we got about 15 pros for Canada this year, so that's going to be great. We're going to have a much fuller pro class, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a big challenge coming from the Canadian series. We've been down here testing and preparing for ISOC, for Duluth, and as well as Fargo. It's just, it's a lot more pros. There's 27 pros, I believe, that was signed up last night. The holes, the track, everything is just a little more intense than back at home, so it's a bit of a challenge, but we're ready for it and we're going to do it. It can be a little nerve-wracking, all these guys are professionals and they're going to race you cleanly just like they do everyone else. So, it's nothing to be real worried about. Go out, race your own race, and hopefully come out with a good position.
Having someone like Ian to help coach and mentor you through some of the best days and the not so best days.
Yeah, it's definitely helped. We've been training together for 5 or 6 years now with our same trainer, Drew, at Evolved SX. It makes it a lot easier to come to the track and follow a guy that's been around it for so long and kind of train with a champion like Ian. So it's definitely an advantage I have.
It's really fun. I like seeing the big names, and a couple of these guys have been racing since I was on 120s in the pro class, so it's always fun to see them. This is about my 5th or 6th year pro now, so it's just another day in the office wanting to be the #1 guy and intimidate the other guys, and they see my sled on the line. And it's awesome to have the numbers up, and it makes you feel that much better with you standing on top of the podium to get up there and beat all 27 of those guys. It just makes it that much more fun, but it's awesome to see the sport being grown and the pro class getting up there.
Logan Christian and Dave Jonas are Arctic Cat teammates, and it's great to see the camaraderie between the American and Canadian racers.
My hometown's Fertile, Minnesota, just a really small farm community town. I think the population's 845 or something, so it's really small. Dave has been an awesome teammate these last few years. It's really fun to work with him. We get along. We're the same age. We get along just really, really good. So it makes it fun for a good winter. We've never gotten an argument or a fight really before, so the whole winter it's good atmosphere, and I'm excited for another season with them. We're not a team that we're both against each other. We share what we got and what we like, and we talk, and we keep each other up to date on if somebody's trying something different and everything. So we talk and communicate. There's no secret between Dave or I.
It's great. I'm having a blast here. I've got a great team behind me, and feeling really good and confident this year, and hoping to have a good year. The level of competition is really high, and it's fun, but definitely pushes you to be better and faster every time you're out.
You came up through Canadian ranks and you're in the States. What's it like being a Canadian in the American League?
It feels good, you know. There's very few of us kind of racing in this series right now, but yeah, I learned a lot growing up racing the CSRA circuit, and now I'm here and trying to do as good as I can. The first few rounds for sure were intimidating, but you have to kind of realize that you're one of the guys now, and you know, I feel like I belong here, and you know, everybody's a racer just like anyone else, and yeah, I try to look at everybody the same. Yeah, like there's definitely a lot of money involved and support, and you know, just a lot of good people working a lot of hours to make this all happen, and it's great to see that there's people that are you know, as committed and devoted as I am to do well here in the series.
Race replicas are a tricky sled to evaluate, but within our crew of test riders, we have several former racers. Putting a race sled into the consumer market is a challenge to make it a trail-rideable sled, and here's what our test riders had to say about the Arctic Cat ZR race replica.
Okay, one of the issues with the snowmobile industry today is building a sled that is inexpensive but tons of fun to ride. And Arctic Cat has introduced the last couple of years they call it the Boy Racer, and it's the ZR 4000 RR. And last year was a limited production version in the new ProX chassis, and this year it's available to the masses. And we had a chance today to spend some time on this sled, and it is just a ball. So think about this for a second. You've got the 500cc Arctic Suzuki engine that's been around for over a decade, completely bulletproof, delivers a good solid 85 horsepower, so it's not a speed demon. But you've got the high-end shock package, the Fox Evolve shocks, right off the Snocross sled, so right off Tucker Hibbert's sled on this machine, calibrated for ditch running, cross-country, big drifts, ditch lines, riding. So the chassis is you know, it's just super stiff. But it's compliant. It's got the Arctic primary on it with the Team Industries secondary, roller secondary, and it's just it's on the throttle. I mean, this thing just sings this motor. It's a high engagement engine. When you're on it, you know you're on something special. But this is a sled, you know, my boys would love to have to go out flogging around on the ditches, and this snowmobile is a prime example of what can be done.
The ProX name has been around since the millennium with ties to the race chassis. In recent years, this branding has meant high-end performance in the Polaris lineup. The combination of the Axis chassis, a premium shock package, and an 800 motor with never-ending torque makes this a very exciting sled for our test riders to evaluate.
Riding the Polaris ProX today, the 800. It's a spring-only blue color. It's fantastic. It rides a little higher. It's got the longer travel front suspension. This morning in the icy trails, it was a little tippy in the corners, but once the snow softened up in the afternoon here, it was a blast to ride, cornered flat. You could hang the back end out a little bit. The 800 engine was perfectly responsive. The seat's very firm, keeps you planted where you want to be, but also gives you enough room to lean into the corners and really handle the sled. Yeah, the ProX chassis returns this year in the switchback, and they didn't need to do many major tweaking on it. It handles well. It's still the rider central positioning. It's easy to ride. And if you want to get off trail, you can. It's one of the easiest sleds to tip on its side. If you want to just carve a line through the trees when you get off the trail for a little bit and then back onto the trail, it's very easy to do and it's a lot of fun. It's a great package for. You can ride it all day on the trails. It's very comfortable. Windshield with hand guards, a little marginal for very cold days, but it looks good. And personally, I like the lower windshield, and I have no qualms about low windshields, and hey, it suits me fine.
The Viper LTX was a big hit in our fleet last year as an impressive performer. For 2016, our test riders were eager to see how this sled performed during the in-depth testing at Snowshoe.
I was riding the Yamaha LTX today, and this is my favorite Yamaha for a number of years. I would go out and buy this sled. So it's a 137 Cobra track, and again the Yamaha 3-cylinder motor. The sled we had today was the Power Surge special, so it's done up in the vintage Yamaha white and red racing colors from their bikes. And but this sled comes with the Quick Select Fox shocks. These shocks just completely change the nature of the chassis. So if you have a Viper, go buy yourself a set of these shocks for your Viper. You'll be pleasantly surprised in the difference. So on top of that, with the Quick Select shocks on the front skis and the rear arm, this sled has the Mountain Performance, the MPI turbo kit, and the Yamaha chassis dampening system. But the MPI turbo kit on this thing is unreal. It's completely stealthy. There's no external air breathers, nothing to let your buddy know that you've got a turbo under it. Driving it, you can cruise around at 38, 39, under 4,000 RPM, no problems. It's not jumpy, surgy. It just rides like a nice trail sled. And as you go onto the throttle, this thing really starts to come alive. I mean, you're talking 170, 175 horsepower in this new chassis. It is a game changer for Yamaha, and if you've got an Arctic Cat 9000, watch over your shoulder, because these things are fantastic in the bumps now and just tons of power. So this is a real winner sled for Yamaha for 2016.
For Skidoo fans, the XRS is the premium in mogul running performance. Its top-of-the-line shock package, incredible lightweight, and super efficient yet powerful 800 motor makes this sled a top contender to evaluate.
Renegade XRS, it returns from last year virtually unchanged because it doesn't need many changes because it was already an excellent working snowmobile. The Renegade really stands out on the snow this year with a new silver color mixed with the black and yellow. It's a real standout sled. It's virtually unchanged this year except for the new Pilot TSP. It allows you to adjust the keel for changing snow conditions. It was my only gripe last year with the marginal carbides and with the 137 track. It really pushed a little in the corners, so you'd have to put more aggressive carbides on. But this year, with the adjustable keel on the ski, with the carbide, you can adjust within 3/8 of an inch, it really makes a big difference. So you can adjust it when the snow conditions change, and you can stay happy riding it all day. Today we're in some fresh groomed, hard packed overnight trails that were a little icy on top, but with that track combination with the adjustable keel on the ski, there was virtually no sliding out to the corners, no pushing. You could carve the corners, no inside ski lift. It was awesome ride this morning. On the way back today, the snow got a little softer. We could adjust the keels to changing conditions, and everything just still turned on a dime, and we had a great time riding it back. Got in a little bit of a chattery, bumpy section, but the R motion took care of all that, and it was just fun.
We all know that it doesn't take long before our favorite sled has a few years on it and it needs some TLC. This year, the folks at Kimpex helped one rider refresh his ride. Let's go meet him now. Good, how's it going, guys? Dad? Right track to Dad, Sonny.
I'm Dad, Sonny. Nice to meet you, Phil.
Welcome to the Snowboard Hideout.
Nice. Don't tell anybody.
I'll show you where we're going to do the work on your sled. Awesome. And we'll wheel it in. This place does not exist. Ta-da! Ta-da-da! Ta-da-da! Hey, it's a nice drifter. Our Kimpex winner, Brandon Kapler, joins us now in the Snowgoer and the Snowmobiler Television Man Cave. And Brandon, what was it like when you found out that you won?
It was incredible. I mean, I entered the contest and honestly put the picture in thinking there was no chance, like who wins contests, right? And then checked it a couple weeks later and found out I won, and I was blown away.
You're a university student, so it must have been nice to see how much stuff you're going to get for your sled on a student budget.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going to school is definitely no easy task, especially when you're moving away from home. So this definitely means a lot for sure.
And we're looking at a Vector. Tell us about the history, you and your Vector. What year did you get it? What have you done with it?
We got it brand new in '09. I still remember taking it out for its first ride late at night when we got to the cottage on a Friday night and couldn't wait till the next morning. Since then, it's just been a lot of trail riding. I mean, we love long mileage, big day trips, especially going around Algonquin Park, stuff like that. As far as what I've done, nothing too crazy. I mean, it's pretty much bone stock. We've, done the oil changes, done all the basic maintenance here and there, but besides that.
Brandon and his family are big Rap Tour riders, so the Vector works for you on the Rap Tour. Why?
It's just easy to ride, even without power steering. Before power steering, it works all day long. I mean, I don't get too tired. I have fun. It's great corner-to-corner speed. It's definitely not lacking on the top end either as far as 120 horses go. It's just a blast to ride. So you've owned it new since 2009. You put 12,000 kilometers on it, and now it's time for a whole bunch of new parts. What's your reaction to see how much we're going to do for you? I'm so excited to see how it turns out. I mean, I couldn't believe I won, and I have no words to describe how excited I am to see how it turns out. So this has been your baby since 2009, brand new out of the crate, and you're leaving it in our hands for 2 weeks, and you're okay with that? Yeah, hopefully it's only 2 weeks. I mean, fingers crossed. No, I'm okay with it. I'm really excited to see what you guys do, and yeah. All right, well, we're gonna run into you in about 2 weeks. We'll give you back the sled. Until then, thanks. Thanks for dropping off the keys. He's marked down the mileage to make sure we don't take it out for too long a ride. We gotta make sure everything's working right. So we'll see you in a few weeks, and we'll give your sled back to you. Awesome, sounds good. Thanks again. And on next week's show, you'll watch Jeremy Girard and Mike Van Meuen start the refresh on his sled.
Snowmobiling has changed a lot over the years. The snowmobiles we ride and also the way we dress. Long gone are the days of the one piece with the big wool sweater underneath or the big parka. Jeremy, how have things changed?
Well, Phil, we basically have changed the technology with thermal base layers, mid layers, and outer layers. And at Kimpex, we offer a full line of base layers, mid layers, and outer levels. And what we've got here in front of us is a base layer. And it's a high performance layering system, which basically is a thermal product, which allows for warmth, but it also allows the wicking effect and takes away the moisture from your skin.
So it's not just about staying warm, it's also about getting ventilation, moisture away from you?
You got it. To stay warm, there's multiple components. And in the old days, we used to, use cotton is rotten.
I love my wool, love my wool.
And we're now looking at products which basically allow for that breathability when you're out snowmobiling.
And it's not about bulk.
It's not. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, it stretches, it's fitting.
Well, interesting, as you said earlier in another conversation, about how people feel they have to have this big coat or this big inner liner. You can walk out in thinner layers and be a lot warmer than you were without the big bulk.
You got her. Well, we're wearing a mid-layer jacket, which is Kimpex Windtech product, which is Dentic technology. And what that allows is it's windproof, waterproof, and breathable. And so when you start with a base layer and go to a mid-layer, you're now really creating an effect of warmth and allowing yourself to be, out there in the elements in a much lighter and more comfortable.
So in today's world, it's all about starting off with a base layer, a middle layer, and an outer shell, and that's how we stay warm.
You got it. So to find out more about these type of products, go online or stop in at your local dealer and check it out.
STV is sponsored by Ultimax Belts, performance proven, performance driven. Triton Trailers, the difference is in the details. And by CKX, wear your passion.
I hope you enjoyed the Big Air experience on today's show. Next week, we're going to back off a little bit on the horsepower as we dedicate much of the show to vintage snowmobiles. I will travel to the Top of the Lakes Museum in Michigan, and I'll also show you Lady Luck, the OMC speed sled from the early 1970s. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, as well as our web pages for Snowboard Canada and Snowbuilder Television. You can also email me direct, phil@snowbuildertv.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week here on the snow.